Welcome back to the Brother Eel Show. We got a special show today. It's going to focus on what we call for this segment the moral science and civic class. Okay, uh, and I'm excited about it. I thought it was relevant. Um, and I before I even get started, it's a tough week this week. I was fighting some kind of bug that came down, and it kind of took me away from being able to holler at you guys. And it kind of was a bummer week trying to get this stuff in order, trying to get myself back on track. And it was tough. It was tough. So I wasn't able to really kind of get out, kick it with y'all this week like I wanted to. Um, it was just really nasty. It was really nasty. I didn't like what I had to go through. Um, just a moment. I'm also working through the producing side of it. But Islam, Grand Rise, Wassalamu alaikum, Namaste, Kasaho, Konnichiwa, Bonjour, Hola, um, and what's up and what's happening with everybody. And I hope and I pray that your week was highly productive, highly successful, highly peaceful, and highly healing. Mine was a fight. It was a fight. Um, who likes being so-called sick, right? I don't, and I fought it. I took my lime and my water and all of my herbs and stuff to fight that nasty crap. Um, it was something like a head. I don't know if it was a head cold or what. I know that stuffy nose, that feeling like you don't have energy, the energy is being sucked from you because your body's trying to fight off or it's fighting off whatever is happening to you. Um, and so, you know, I'm grateful to Allah, the Most High, for and my ancestors. I'm grateful for my ancient ancestors for providing me guidance, love, and healing on that journey. A lot of things was revealed to me during that process, and I know my caption on here says "breaking post-election update: Trump Supreme," but absolutely that's not um, what this particular segment of the Brother Ill Show is about today. On the Moorish Science with the Moorish Science and Civic class. And for those that don't know, I have served the last duly elected Grand Sheik for Temple Number 13, the Moorish Science Temple of America. Um, not the de facto version, but the version that the founder laid down. Um, and I have a lot of. I'm fourth generation, matter of fact, fourth generation, and it's been passed down to me, since my great grandfather, Brother G. Cook Bay. Like, what's been passed down to you? The knowledge of our heritage, the knowledge of our nationality, birthrights, free national descent names, um, our creed, our divine covenant, um, all of our materials, all of our principles has been passed down. Um, we're an honor society. We give honors to our ancient ancestors. We give honors to, obviously, we give praises and honors to Allah, um, the Father. Or I like to say that's on my divine minister papers or ordination papers. It says Allah, the God of love, and I think that's where I started to kind of feel like I got sick because I was detoxing from the hate. I had a lot of hate in my heart. And that's what caused the body to get stressed. It chokes the body out of its oxygen. So I don't feel that high energy that I usually feel. And I had to address detoxing or getting all of this hate out of my heart chakra, right? I had to get it out of me. I had to heal myself. And so, and I prayed on it. I took action on saying, you know what, Brother L, it's time to heal. Because, just like the rest of us, we go through this mortal life knowing that I know that we're immortal, but me and my colleagues usually say, Brother L, you can't forget, people are mortals, right? Because sheiks and sheikesses, we have a different, to each his own, but we got a different overstanding, understanding. We know that Allah and man is one. We know that we are the divine beings manifested in human flesh. However, we go through this human experience and we feel human emotions, period. We still catch attitudes. We still feel sad. We still got to go through the 7 phases of emotions. So we go low, and then you eventually come back up high, right? And the higher self is Allah and man, right? The higher self is mercy, justice, right? The lower self is everything that the higher self is not. It breeds lewdness, madness, murder, and death. Um, and so there's two cells, and we understand this. We understand that, right? So they talk about how you must go through a conflict that you cannot put into words, and it's all a development process. As the brother's going to explain here, it's a rites of passage for Moorish Americans in these teachings. We're notified in our literature from our founding father. He teaches us that we're going to go through a conflict you can't put into words, that we must suffer trials and temptation manifold. It's a rites of passage. And that thought, being that man is thought, right, is the thought of Allah manifested in human flesh in reference to the spirit man. And that thought must be developed through the exercise of strength. And that's the reason why the cardinal self, the lower self, was full manifest, because without a foe, a soldier never knows the strength. And so, um, in this battleground of the mind, of the spirit mind, I had to face my fears, disappointment, the shameful moments. How you think that I was embarrassed because of this or embarrassed. You have to go through. You got to face it with conviction. You got to face it with. You got to face it in mind that it's going to be okay. Number one, because why is it going to be okay? Because as we're taught, Allah is leading, victory is sure. We're also taught that spirit man cannot die. Allah, there is no death for man. Allah cannot die, right? So, it's installed, enshrined into the minds of Moors that you don't have to be fearful. You don't have to live in fear and doubt and worry. However, this human emotion is real. This human experience is intense. I'm gonna use the term intense. It can be intense, good, bad, indifference, in between. It can be intense. I see why it's so important to have balance, right? And whatever activities that you can create or string together in a series, a routine that helps you maintain balance throughout the weeks, throughout the day, throughout the year, right? I don't think we talk enough about balance, right? We learned a lesson in is it Buddhism or Confucianism, one of them. But we learned these principles where it talks about the eightfold path, and it teaches us to stay in the middle path, right? The point is balance. And so that's when you start talking about the pH, the spiritual pH is off, the body pH, because it got to go spiritual first in our divine teaching. It got to go spiritual first before we even get to the physical manifestation of those spiritual thoughts. And that's why it's so, our founding father, Noble Drew Ali, the holy and divine prophet, he teaches us that, he says, I brought you everything that you need to save a nation. Take it and save yourselves. He said, raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom. He teaches us that if man must find his devil, he must look within. And if man must find his savior, he must look within. So this battle is totally about self, right? Self correction, self reflection, self motivation, self inspiration, self taught, self educated, self. You got to get self back into the center, right? And you got to treat yourself with love. That's our first divine principle is love. If you love thyself, you're going to tell the truth to yourself. Because before you can lie, hate, hurt anybody else, you had to done it to yourself first. You had to convince yourself that this was the way, right? Excuse me. Excuse me for 1 second.